Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And on today's show I want to talk about Tesla design, because I think Tesla get a lot of stick for the way that their cars look. So I've got to ask a rather basic question: does this look smart or stupid? And I do think that there are questions that can be asked. When I first saw the photos of this car, when they started being leaked, I looked at it and went, what have they done? So I had a previous Model Y with the blob eyes, which at the time it came out, everybody said looked awful. Personally, I thought it looked great. Other people disagreed, and disagreed quite loudly. But when I first saw this, I thought, not sure. And then lots of people said, well, look at the people who've actually seen the car in the metal. They say it looks much better when you actually see that. And I thought, not sure. And then when eventually I did see one in the metal, I wandered around it and it was parked next to a Model 3. And I actually did a quick video and said, hey, what's the better design? The new Model Y or the older, classier Model 3? And comments were quite balanced actually in terms of what people were saying. At the time, my brain was still saying Model 3 because I was still in that classic Tesla design language. But I actually think this now is the classic Tesla design language. This cyber look is the way that all Teslas are going to go. And I just thought it was worth a quick explore to understand what that design language is, and is it smart, or really are they just being completely stupid? So at first glance, this looks like a Model Y that's had a facelift, because that in essence is what it is. It's still got that same slightly bent in the photocopier, overly stretched look. It's got that purposeful stance at the rear. I really do like the rear haunches, but it's got to be said, this deep blue metallic that I went for, and when I ordered it, I haven't actually seen this exact car in this colour, only the previous one, but this deep blue metallic is gorgeous. Okay, so when you shine the thing up, it looks even more gorgeous, but there really is something about it. But this facelift, let's just look at it. It's very different, I'll give it that. There's an awful lot of cars that have got light bars on the front, but they really have gone for it with this one. And okay, it's not a proper light bar. The bit in the middle is a separate piece, and it does dim a little bit when you're driving. One thing that you might not pick up on is these gaps really are pretty sizable. There is a significant hole there for air to pass through. The headlights are now a single piece. I will give you a shot of them turned off, but the matrix LED function is very, very clear. Now you can just see that it is this massive piece of honeycomb. The fact that you have got these grills which open and close depending on whether we need to get cooling into the battery, that is quite cool. It doesn't have fog lights the way that the old car used to do, and I kind of miss the fog lights, although they weren't really useful for anything. But I do like the headlights lower down perspective. It does give it that kind of lower down, angled down, more aggressive position, stance. I don't know, what would you call it, but it looks a little bit more nose down and ready to pounce. There is something quite muscular now about the front end, the way that I think the back end always did have. I've already said, I think the rear haunches, the way that they come out, do look fantastic. And okay, so I've managed to get these polished so that they're practically a mirror, which looks banging, but hey, that looks great. That really does look good, doesn't it? Anyway, I do like the rear haunches, the way that it sticks out. That is a really strong angle. And then you've got the back. And this is the bit that I didn't get at all when I first saw it. This Cylon light bar thing. And I do say Cylons because it's like something off the Cylons on Battlestar Galactica. And I love that show. The bit that I was a bit freaked about most was just this whole section here where, don't stand too close, it'll open. This whole section here where you used to have a number plate and now you don't. I didn't quite get that expansive metal thing. I thought, does that work? And I really wasn't sure. And the whole diffused light bar thing, I didn't get it. until I suddenly did. And now I think it looks amazing. I mean, look at some of the angles that you've got here. Look at the way that this is all kinds of interesting shapes. You've got this whole section up here, which is concave and convex at the same time. It's really, really, really clever, the way that it's been put together. And then, of course, I actually do like the fact that the Tesla logo is now minimal on the rear and missing completely off the front. Now, you can say whatever you like about whether Tesla is still a cool brand or not, but they're really trying to go for this whole minimalist feel. So, I don't know. I just think there is something that they've really got right and clicking with this design. And it took me ages to get it. And look, let's just go back quickly now and hear me saying the exact opposite when I first saw this car. So it's the 28th of March this year, and I have gone to the Tesla Centre here in Edinburgh, and as well as the usual Model 3, which I was expecting, they had a silver Model Y, and it was the first one that I had seen in the flesh. And I just had a wander around with the camera, taking some video of both to go in as B-roll at some point in a future video, such as this one, just trying to get a feel for the differences between the two cars, because when they're side by side, you really can see that they are different at a fundamental level in terms of the design philosophy and the way that it's been put together. Because yeah, I didn't get it. I really just didn't get the design language. And then it was when I had the test car for filming. So my friends at Tesla Aberdeen very generously gave me the car overnight, and I did a load of testing and filming just as it was coming out in right-hand drive for people to go and test. And it was while I had the car parked at Crivy, actually, and I just wandered around it and the light was going down and it suddenly popped, and I was like, yes, 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 they've absolutely smashed the design out of the park. And that really is now how I feel about it. This is the future direction of Tesla. This is the way that the company is going to make all of its vehicles look. So we already have the Cybertruck, we've got the Robo-Taxi, which may or may not come out at some point, I'm sure it will. That is going to have a similar feel. You can almost guarantee that future vehicles, as they start to circulate, are going to be in the same kind of vein. So we've now got the Model Y Long, the supposedly a Model Y Short or something similar to that, which is making an appearance. They will all have the exact same feel. So this kind of is the future. And honestly, I really struggle now to find an angle that I don't like. I really struggle to find an angle that I don't like. It's got interesting shapes everywhere, from the way that the wing kind of curves inwards and downwards. It's a very, very, very flattened, squared off bonnet now compared to the previous one. But it really works with these reshaped wings. You've got lines that go all the way down the side of the car now. So both a top line which kind of blends its way almost to nothing here, and then comes back again as the crease onto the rear haunch. I do like that. It's there, it's not there, and then it comes back again. And then you've got down here off the camera cluster, and this little notch here that just fades into a flat piece of the door, and then there's still a crease here which just about disappears when you get to the rear, and then again it's very, very, very faintly there. Can you see it? It just kind of bends its way down. It's really subtle, but it's really clever. There is something inherently good and cohesive about this design that actually there wasn't on the original. And I do remember making a similar video to this and saying, hey, this is a good looking car. And it was a little bit controversial. People were like, is it really a good looking car? And I said, yes, look at this angle and this angle. But there were loads of other places where it just didn't quite work. I think it does now. I really do think that it works all the way down the car from the front to the back. And okay, so this is mine, and I'm going to say nice things about my car, but I've not always said nice things about every car, because not every car that I've had is good. I think this one is. One area of maybe a bit of controversy is wheels. And I know some people say that Teslas are under-wheeled. This is on 19s. The other option with the Model Y is 20s, but frankly, people look at these wheel arches and go, ooh, shouldn't it be on 22s? Well, I mean, Polestar sticks some of their cars on crazy size wheels, and I don't get it because it really does make the ride really rather firm and the tyres vastly expensive. I would rather have a smaller wheel with a bit more sidewall, if that's all right with you. And I like 19-inch wheels that Tesla do because you can just go and swap the covers over. And one of the places you can do that is with today's video sponsor, EV-Base. These are EV-Base covers for my 19-inch Crossflow wheels. I've had EV-Base covers before on quite a few different videos, and I know people have said, hey, they look good, or hey, they look bad. What I absolutely love is rim protection. These cover the rim of the wheel, which means no scropy if you get it wrong with the curb. That is worth having in itself. I would much rather break a plastic wheel rim, as I've done, than really damage the wheel. Noise. So if you want a set of EV-based rims like these, check the link that's down below, use my referral code and get a handy discount. There's all kinds of interesting designs. I've got some new ones, which I've got out of the box and gone, ooh, but they're for another video coming up. One thing that hasn't changed on Tesla Model Y is that the inside is just one massive glass area, and I do mean massive. The singular screen in the front, I know is controversial to some people who don't like modernity, but hey, how many car manufacturers have copied Tesla and put everything on a screen because they've realized there are so many big advantages to it? It just works, guys, and this is why Tesla lead and others follow. And okay, so the light bar thing, I don't think Tesla are exactly leading here. Other people have been doing it for a while, and people talk about BYD and others, but hey, copying is flattery. What I, again, absolutely adore is just the sheer amount of space that you get in a Model Y. I mean, I know we've got the Model Y Long now to put an extra row in the back, and okay, fine, but this car is absolutely vast, and it's a lot more premium with this newer version of the Model Y. A lot more premium. The materials are better, the finish is better, the look is just that little bit more polished. This is a really, really classy vehicle to sit in. So I did ask, is the design of this car smart or stupid? And I am going to go on the smart side, although I did sit on the stupid camp when I first saw the car. And I know there's a whole load of people who are just going to go, ooh, Tesla looks awful. Ooh, EV looks terrible. The simple truth is you can't reason with stupid. So if people want to keep banging on about 20-year-old BMWs, then yeah, no problem at all. It's not as if BMW has ever done cars that have been controversial in their designs. People definitely thought that the Bangle era was absolutely fantastic, and that the grills that BMW were putting on them, again, everyone thinks they look marvelous. It's only Tesla that build ugly cars, and if you don't want to say only Tesla, then all right, anything that's an EV. Morons, just ignore them and hopefully they'll go away. But honestly, I just think this is, for me, this is probably peak Tesla. And I don't think that I'm alone in that view, because at the moment, as I sit on X talking about Tesla, and I do, I've got an X channel on there as well, check that out. But when people are talking about it, at the moment, everything is Model Y. The robo-taxis are Model Y. The new car being launched in China is a Model Y with a stretch. The FSD program is always a Model Y. As far as Tesla is concerned, this is it. This is it. And it's not just the fact that it's a Model Y with a facelift. This is so much more than that. People talk about it's not a new car. Well, all right, fine. It's the same chassis. But Tesla keep changing and refining how they're building their vehicles. And this has had a wholesale makeover mechanically versus the previous car. And of course, it doesn't have an engine. So we can't talk about the engine, but the motors have been tweaked. The suspension has been completely altered. The fit and the finish and the materials are better. It's more efficient than the previous car. The lighting has been completely changed. Body panels have been redesigned. The front and the back are completely different. It is a new car. It's not just a refresh the way that some of them are. I used to talk about the new Nissan Leaf just not being anything other than a refreshed Nissan Leaf. I was being unfair. They definitely improved the Nissan Leaf, and of course there is a brand new one out. So this is not new. But in today's world, you don't need to keep producing a new car on a new chassis every 5 years, because you can just keep developing the same thing and making it better, because that is how the economics now of the car industry actually work. And this is the point. Okay, so the Model S that's just had its second, or is it third refresh, that's probably a bit long in the tooth now. And it's not so much that the design doesn't look fresh, because the design looks amazing. It's just that the technology on board the car feels a little bit old. Well, it isn't like that with this Model Y. We know what the hardware can do. We know what the software can do if it's actually freed. You know, this car will completely drive itself in the fairly near future. And that's the exciting thing. This feels like cutting edge. This is modernity on wheels. Because as I sit looking at videos now of this car driving itself around cities in America, and I read about the next phase of improvements that's coming with autopilot and the automation that's all AI driven, and let's be honest, Tesla is more than just a car company. But you look at the things that's coming with this exact car, and I can't do anything other than conclude that this is the future. This is not just smart, but this is the future. This is that leading edge that everybody wants to get onto at some point. You want to be trendy. And I know it's a Tesla, and Tesla is still a bit controversial to a few people who are looking at politics and personalities rather than technology. And yes, it's not finished yet. It's leading edge technology, is AI driven, and there are the skeptics who are saying, oh, it's never going to work, you're never going to get self-driving. And maybe the legislation is going to continue to be a barrier, but it will be the legislation, not the car. I'm driving tomorrow's world, and that's quite exciting. So let me know in the comments, what do you think? Have you got used to the design? Do you think it's cool now? What's a Tesla doing that other manufacturers are copying? I've seen quite a few things, but you tell me in the comments what you're seeing, and let's have a chat about it. And I will see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.